Well, I'm really excited about today's episode. This stemmed from you winning Legends Leaders Best Nonprofit of the Year. Yeah. And I'm excited to be here with Jenna Berry, the Executive Director of Raising Shasta. Yeah. And today we're going to have a great conversation about how crazy it is to have kids.
Yeah.
How do we help kids in our community? What that means for our community and kind of solving some of these big challenges that we have now. If we could solve them early on, it'll make a big difference in the trajectory of a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a fun conversation. It's important. It's a little heavy, but you're a really fun person to talk with. So thank you for being here today on the City Builders Podcast.
Happy to be here.
Welcome to the City Builders Podcast, brought to you by the Reading Chamber of Commerce. I'm Todd Jones, President and CEO. In each episode, we bring you insights from local business leaders, tackle important issues, and explore what's shaping the future of Reading. Whether you're a business owner or just interested in our community's growth, this podcast has something for you. Thanks for joining us. The City Builders Podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the Chamber, and we could not do business without them. How closely do you work with First Five?
Pretty closely. We have some grants with them. We work with them on Week of the Young Child. We're on Strengthening Families Collaborative with them. Okay. But we talk a lot about, because, the earlier the intervention, the better.
Right.
And we see a lot of the bigger stresses happening with families when they have littles.
Yeah, it's stressful to have kids. Kids are stressful.
Babies, who can't communicate with you, it's super stressful. So
and having your first baby, I think, is the most stressful. I think the first kid from 0 to 3 months might be the most stressful.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I was in the military. I wasn't in combat.
Okay.
Combat's probably pretty stressful.
Yeah.
But the first 3 months of a baby, so stressful. And I don't think people talk about it enough.
Yeah, I remember when we were leaving the hospital, they were
Here
like,
you go.
"Okay,
See ya.
We checked your car seat. You guys are good to go." And I was like, I think that there should be so many in our conversation. Are you sure we're ready? We were 23 and 25. I was like, I am a child myself. Are we sure?
You can't send us on with this baby.
And they say things to you in passing, and then you get home and you're like, what did they say? Yeah. And you're like, I'm pretty sure they said this thing will ruin my child for life. So I should not do it. And then you're like, you panic and you freak out, and then it's just, it's so much. It's hard.
so stressful. Yes. But then the second one, you have a baby, and you're like, hey, I'm just going to stay at the hospital for 3 days because it's like a mini retreat. You're going to change my kids' diapers for 3 days?
There you go.
This is great.
Okay.
And you give me the pregnancy ward or the delivery ward drink, the cranberry juice with Sprite. And the big cup with the crunchy ice.
I'm good to go. See, we adopted our youngest kiddos, so I didn't go back to the hospital and have a baby, but we told our oldest she wanted a baby. She was like, I want siblings. And our friend had a baby. And so she was like, we just go to the hospital and pick them up. And I was like, that's really not how it works. Yeah. And then our daughter that we adopted, we did go to a hospital and pick her up. And my daughter was like, you lied. Yeah. That's not, I'm like, this is unique.
Yeah.
Not all things happen like this, but it was still I think we definitely knew more bringing her home, but I was like, oh my gosh, thinking about all the things. You're like, everything I do could shape her life.
Forever.
Forever.
First 5 years, most important.
Very important.
Love Wendy. I got to have her on too.
You do.
Yeah, first 5 is awesome.
Too. Yeah, they're great.
Jenna Berry, well, thank you for being here.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
I'm excited.
You won the Nonprofit of the Year for 2025. The first year that I've had it, I don't know when we had that award last. It's at least been more than 15 years that we used to do that award.
Okay.
And we brought it back this year.
Dang.
And McConnell Foundation graciously decided to sponsor that.
Yeah.
And I may have had a bird whisper in my ear from the McConnell Foundation who she thought should be the Nonprofit of the Year. And it was a unanimous decision with our board of directors and people that we talked to and other community nominations that came in that Raising Shasta, you guys are deserving. We have so many great nonprofits in town.
Yes.
But we're like, Raising Shasta's.
That's an honor.
You guys are doing good stuff right now.
Honestly, it was so such a good boost for my team. We've been working so hard over the last 2 years and doing all this stuff and, hoping that it's sticking and hoping that people are starting to notice because a lot of the stuff we do is behind the scenes. And so it was I remember when you called me and I was like, us? What? That's so cool. It's just like such an honor for our team, and like such an honor that McConnell felt we deserved it. And like there was so many pieces to it. We work hard and we do a lot of different things, but it was cool to be recognized for that.
So you came in, you did your video before Legend Leaders a couple months ago, and our goal for those was like 90 seconds. Those are going out. Those are online now. But I was like, there's no way I can capture this. This is like such a big.
Yeah.
There's just a lot. There's a lot to what you do. Yeah. I just learned something new before we started recording. I can't
I was say, you're being nice to me. I'm also a bit of a yapper. Like when you ask me for like a 1-sentence thing, I'm like, let me give you like 100
No, we got time.
Because I get so excited.
I'm not quite Joe Rogan yet, but we got a lot of time. We have more time now. But before we even started, you guys are the child death review team?
Yeah, we host it. Yeah, so we host it at Vienna, and it is awful, but so powerful. Like the things that come out of that are really tied to, what are the trends? What are the things that we could get ahead of and really help families understand dangers that they maybe don't understand? What is accidental? What things could be avoided? What are things that we could just educate more around? And so really powerful work, really sad, hard work, but we do that it's a multidisciplinary team. There's people from law enforcement and child welfare and First Five, and we have people from public health, and we have lots of people in the room, medical professionals, and we're just we're trying to look at this from every angle, social, emotional, but also physical, and what are the things that we can do to prevent that, and that work goes on, and it's not necessarily something you guys see or hear about very often, but it's really impactful work.
So impactful, so amazing. So we're going to talk about a lot of really fun stuff. Maybe let's rewind and just set the baseline.
Yeah.
We talked for a little bit, a couple minutes already, but tell us what is Raising Shasta? Give us a little bit of the history. Yeah. It's kind of I don't want to say convoluted, but it's a little bit. It's kind of an interesting story, especially the last 5 years. But it goes obviously much farther back than that. So tell us about what is Raising Shasta? If someone's never heard of it before.
Yeah. Well, if you want to go all the way back, in 1987, there was some laws put into place that really required states to start looking at child abuse prevention. So they required the states to have child abuse prevention coordinating councils, and that could look a lot of different ways. Sometimes it's directly within the county structure, and sometimes it's outside organizations. And so here in Shasta County, it became an outside organization and was really just collaborative. It was pulling a lot of organizations together to talk about how do we get ahead of child abuse? What are the things we can be doing to really talk about, educate, and get ahead of child abuse? And then it's kind of morphed over the years. So
this was a state mandate?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we are 39 years old this year. And so we, have morphed over the years. We were always Shasta County Child Abuse Prevention Coordinating Council, which is a huge mouthful.
Yeah, CAPC, I think is what we called it.
Yeah, we went by CAPC for a while. But really the heart of our shift. So in 2019, under Michael Berg, we shifted to Pathways of Hope for Children. And the heart of that was really to shift to more human-centered, hope-centered care, where we were trying to take away the stigma and shame and really get parents to engage with us early on and get support early on. And so we changed our name, but continued to do the things that we were doing. So wraparound support, supporting parents, around what does it look like to be a good parent, but also how do we parent difficult kids? And when, times get tough, how do we get connected to resources and social connections to make sure that we're okay? And so we continue to do that work. We have lots of youth arm pieces as well, because we understand that we need to get even further ahead of it. Unfortunately, kids repeat the stories that they see. And so 1 out of every 3 kids who experience abuse or neglect will go on to be an abuser themselves. And that's just not a statistic we're okay with. Yeah. And so we have teen centers and we have programming really designed to work with kids early on and talk about relationships and healthy family dynamics and supporting them early on. And then in 2024, I came in November of 2023, and then in 2024, September of 2024, we merged with Catalyst Mentoring. And so we got to add...
Which side were you on first?
I started at Catalyst. So I was with Catalyst for quite a while. I helped build the school programs that were
because that was kind of a
campuses.
new program that Aaron Hayes... I don't know if he was the founder originally, but kind of started that.
Yeah, he was the founder, built it out, really talked about community mentoring. And so the initial movement of that was recruiting mentors from our community. So, we know that one healthy adult changes the future of a kiddo, because it's one person investing in you, caring about you, and modeling a healthy, lifestyle. And so he really went after it as a community-wide campaign where we were plugging mentors into other pre-existing nonprofits, which was working, but we just found that there was a lot of barriers to getting mentors to the kids and making sure that they could consistently meet with them. And so I came on with him in 2019 and helped build out the school programs. So we removed barriers by providing mentorship directly on school campuses. We recruited the mentors, but then we trained them and supported them, because volunteering is really hard. Working with kids who come from hard places can be hard because sometimes you don't know how to answer their question or how to respond to different things. And so our team created these support systems around the mentors as well. So they could go and be rock stars and support the kids and make sure that all these kids are being impacted, but they also had the support they needed. And that was, I will always go down the hill of mentorship.
Yeah.
I love mentorship. The school program still exists. It's such a cool piece of what we do. And so,
is it still called Catalyst Mentoring? Is it really just
it's Catalyst
Raising
Mentoring
Shasta?
Programs. So we shifted the name to programs because it is a recognizable name. People remember Catalyst and they want to volunteer with it, but they also, they understand their kid is getting mentored by supportive, healthy, safe adults. And so we kept the Catalyst Mentoring name, and it's just Catalyst Mentoring Program specifically on school campuses, but it's provided by Raising Shasta.
Gotcha. All right, so I jumped ahead a little bit there. So sorry.
You're fine.
CAPSI, Catalyst Mentoring, and then you were with Catalyst Mentoring, and then how did they kind of come together?
That's a great...
What's the
there's
best
lots of
way?
steps in there, but
we can edit things too, so don't worry. Yeah.
There's lots of steps in there. I was in Leadership Reading, and I was with...
Love Leadership Reading.
It's such a good program, right? And I was with Eric, friend, and some people that were really tied into Pathways to Hope for Children. And they had a transition in leadership. They had kind of had an interim situation, and they weren't sure what they were going to do. And I was encouraged to apply for the position. Funny enough, your wife was actually one of the people who encouraged me. And
She's a pretty good encourager.
Yeah, she is.
Man,
she is such a she was boosting my ego so good. But it was one of those things that it was a perfect moment in my family's life where, we needed me to be kind of in a different position and making a little bit more money and doing things. And so I considered it for the first time ever because I loved Catalyst so much. I couldn't ever imagine leaving Catalyst, but Catalyst was a smaller nonprofit.
It's kind of very grassroots, and Shasta, Pathways to Hope was kind of more of a government-funded, kind of more established.
It was, a 30-year-old organization. It had far more employees. It was a little bit different. And for me, I'd finished my master's degree. It was a bit of a step up, which felt scary and big. And so I applied and was offered the position, which was so cool and bittersweet because then I had to tell Catalyst that I was leaving, which I was just how do you do that? The weird life of nonprofit. Also, you don't resign to one person, you resign to your whole board, which, was, for us, it was 11. So I got to call 11 people and break my heart 11 times.
It sounds familiar.
It's hard. And I, to this day, that was one of the hardest things I did because I loved that board was amazing. They were super supportive. They cared deeply about Catalyst. And so I believe strongly that Catalyst, could still exist and still do things. And I knew that it was in good hands with that board. But I was sad to be stepping away from it. And so after a little bit of time of me being at Pathways, the board had kind of done some, research, figured out what they wanted and what they wanted to do moving forward. And they approached the Pathways board and asked what it would look like if the two organizations merged, because we do a lot of similar work within the youth realm.
And you had some crossover of board members, is that correct?
Well, we didn't at the time, but we had, we just had some people that, really had heard of both sides and really felt strongly about, the greater family support. And so it was a cool opportunity. I tried to keep my hands up, but I'm please say yes. And so the Pathways board actually asked me about it. What is this something that you think would work? And is this something you're willing to do? Because a merge in your first year is maybe a wild choice.
Yeah.
And there was no question. It was a yes. I love Catalyst. We had a phenomenal team. And we just have some amazing volunteers who've been mentors for years, and being able to support them, continue supporting them, so worth it. We have kids we've been serving for years. So it was just a yes for me immediately. And then we had some board members that came over. So we had kind of a representation of both.
Right.
And then we started conversations of, what does this look like to represent this well and honor both organizations and really look at what that what that means moving forward. And so we did some rebranding. We changed our name to Raising Shasta because the goal of everything we do is to grow and shape Shasta and its community and invest in them well. And that's like empowerment, right? It's not doing it for them. It's not, we'll fix it for you. It's calling people higher and inviting them into the conversation of what it looks like to shape our community. And so that was kind of the heart behind our name. We're so excited about it. It's been really cool, but was definitely a whirlwind of a first year in my position at Raising Shasta. So go big or go home,
But there's a lot of efficiencies. I mean, we have a lot of nonprofits in town, and we've seen this happen. I mean, Arch Collaborative in One Safe Place, Children's Legacy Center in One Safe Place. And I mean, you just kind of see it happening more and more, I think. And you see, I mean, it's happening all over the country with all kinds of organizations.
Well, and it just opens up opportunities, when you're sharing overhead and different things, like we're no longer paying double the price for things. We're able to, insurance costs and different, there's some very obvious logistical things that made sense. But then there was just some mission crossover that really made sense and allowed us to, we've had teen centers for years, but being more intentional with mentorship within our teen centers was really, really powerful. And then being able to encourage trauma-informed care and understanding that some of our youth come from harder backgrounds was really crucial to the work that Catalyst did. And so it was just such a cool partnership and continues to be a cool partnership. So I'm really excited about it.
That's awesome. Yeah. So maybe give us a quick snapshot and then we can dive into some of the programs that you guys do offer.
Yeah.
Like what is it that Raising Shasta does? Like what are the programs, and just maybe run through them and we can kind of dive into a few that we want to or you want to.
So we have two arms, parent services and youth services. We have some admin, and that's really around advocacy and educating our community. But our parent services, we have parent partners who meet directly with parents and coach them. It's a lot of times peer support. Very often our parent partners are parents themselves. So connecting them to resources, talking to them about healthy and safe parenting, boundary setting, those kinds of things.
Is it people that get like mandated into it, or who comes into parent support services? Like, I'd be like, that there's probably some stigma and challenges around that. So how do you kind of...
We have the full range.
I broke my rule. I was going to jump into a program, but I just can't do it. I can't.
You're making it hard. We're just going to keep giving you so many things. But we have the full range. So we work pretty closely with child welfare and health and human services. And so we have families that are right on the fringe. Maybe there's been some calls around concerns, but there isn't maybe either proof or it's not rising to a level that is fully a child abuse claim. And so we'll connect with those families and start addressing those issues. Maybe it's housing. And it's not that the parent isn't trying, but their housing became unstable and they're not sure how to navigate the housing system in Reading, which, can be complicated.
Yeah, sure.
And so our team can help them navigate that system. We don't provide housing, but we're really good at connecting them to the resources and getting them in the correct pipelines. We know that stress can be one of the number one reasons for child abuse. And what is more stressful than not having housing? And so it's the same thing with food insecurity. It's the same thing with insurance struggles and different things like that. Our team can help connect them to the resources they need, walk them through filling out paperwork, different things like that. So we'll work with families who are right on the line of, child welfare claims, child abuse claims. But we also work with your average everyday parent who's just like, this is hard. Parenting is so hard, right?
It's hard for everybody.
It is just, there's so many pieces to it. It's understanding technology when maybe you didn't grow up with technology. It's understanding behaviors that maybe you didn't, you've never experienced in your life. Having a kiddo who has a totally different personality or character traits than you, right? That can be really hard when you're butting heads all the time with your kid and you're not sure how to help them and you just love them so much and you want them to be successful. So our team has triple P parenting training, so we can do actual walk into your home and support you in behavioral struggles with your kiddos, but also building routines, because sometimes behavioral struggles come from a lack of routine.
Sure.
And so our team does all kinds of stuff like that and coaches and supports parents just to make sure that they, have the connections they need. And we do parent cafes around that where there's parent-to-parent support. So you can come and talk to other parents who are going through similar things and try and, find your people, because it is impossible to raise children alone. You need so many people.
It takes a village.
And everything needs people. Sometimes it's, getting your kids to all the sports. I have 4 kids. There are 2 adults. We cannot get all of our children to all their sports all the time.
Yeah, I feel the pain. Very real.
But sometimes it's, we had a house flood this year, and it was amazing to me how many people showed up and made sure we had food or made sure we had connections. And those were, that village is what keeps you afloat in the middle of your crises. That village is the one that celebrates you when you have great wins, and they're the ones that notice when your kid is maybe having a struggle that you didn't quite see. And so we're really big on building your village, building your people, because you just can't. Like, no one can parent alone. No one can raise their kids alone. It's just too hard. And so our team does that. And then we also have parent education, which is court ordered. So if a parent is court ordered to take education around parenting because of losing custody through child welfare or being close to losing custody, our team goes through a 16-week program with them that includes triple P, but also addresses what are common causes of child abuse and what are common things that we can work on to address that and do better by our kids. And I will say it is amazing how many people are in that class who really didn't know what they were doing with child abuse because they feel like they're doing so much better than their parent did. And they're like, let me tell you about my childhood. And you're like, wow, you are doing so much better. It needs a little bit more. You and your kids deserve more than this. So let's work on it. And we have an amazing person in that role who just really champions those families and encourages them and calls them higher and supports them without shame and guilt, and really is just wanting them to be able to work towards getting their kids back, which is so cool. So that's kind of our parent arm. We also have events where we, do things with parents and kids like trunk or treat and welcome to the jungle. And we have some fun things we do on that side. And then on our youth services side, we have 2 teen centers, one in Redding and one in Anderson. Our Anderson Teen Center is over 20 years old, so we've been around a long time down there. We love partnering with the city of Anderson on that. They are so good to us. But the kids can walk there, and we have it open every day after school. We provide snacks, which we partner with SCOE to provide snacks every day, so they always have food. But then we have activities. They learn how to cook. They can do homework there. We play board games. There's lots of just fun opportunities. We have a music center in both Redding and Anderson, so they can learn to play the guitar and piano. And we have a couple of volunteers who have been coming in and teaching, which has been really cool. And then we do art, and we always have artists coming in and doing classes with them. And then in Redding, we have our PAL program, which is a boxing program. It is...
What does PAL stand for?
Police Athletic League. Okay. And so we partner with the Sheriff's Department. They kind of sponsored us getting our charter to become the Police Athletic League. Our board chair is Jake Duncan. He is very pro boxing.
He works for the DA's office or the Sheriff's Department?
Sheriff's Department.
Okay.
And so he is a sergeant and he's a detective, and he grew up boxing and he learned so much from boxing. And so he was really like, we've got to get this going. It's really so cool. And so now we have this big, beautiful ring. We converted
fair size ring in the back of the teen center. It's cool.
Sierra Pacific.
It's cool.
We had a hand-me-down ring, and Sierra Pacific saw it and said, no, you can't have a hand-me-down ring. They bought us this beautiful ring. Our kids get to be in this really epic, like our gym is beautiful, which is so cool because the kids who get to come in often don't get to go into these beautiful places, and the space is designed for them, and it's beautiful, like such a cool space. But we have 2 boxing coaches that meet with them 5 days a week. They get free if you are 13 to 18. You have to be 18 in high school, but 13 to 18, you get free boxing lessons Monday through Friday from 3 until about 5:30. And then we have a little kids class, which we charge a little bit for, but it's much cheaper than what you would go out to a different, any kind of thing, any kind of activity. Yeah. Activities are expensive, but we have a prorated, it's much cheaper. And that's also 5 days a week. And that follows our PAL program. And so we have littles as young as 7 and all the way to 12. And they come and work out. It's actually so cute. Like they learn so much discipline and they do so much conditioning.
So hard.
Oh my gosh. It's
so hard.
hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing people think when we say we're doing boxing. They're like, oh, that's so violent. And I will tell you, it is more about discipline and confidence building. And, it's amazing how much like dedication they have to put in and commitment. And those kids are coming 5 days a week. No one is forcing them. They are showing up consistently every day after school, working out by choice. Yeah. And they're putting in all this time, and they're earning their time with mitts. They're earning their time on bags. They're earning their time in the ring doing, any kind of sparring, and they're taught all of the safety beforehand. And, our coach is really big on safety, but he's also really big on you don't know how you're going to react when you get punched in the face. And if you don't know how to regulate your emotions, you are going to fall apart in the ring. But how much of that is also a life lesson?
Yeah.
If you don't know how to regulate your emotions when life punches you in the face, because it literally will, like, what are you going to do about it? And so he talks to them about that. He talks to them about the bigger picture. His assistant coach, Jesus, his son has been a part of the boxing program from the beginning. And they talk about this all the time. Like, life is going to be hard. And how are you going to show up for it? And boxing teaches you how to be tough and resilient and consistent and all these things. And so we have those programs. And then we have an adult class, which is also fee-based, but it's, again, much cheaper. It's like $85 for the entire month, and you can come 5 days a week. So pretty cool. That's in the evenings, 6:30 to 8. And so we have some parents in there, and we have some different people in there, but it's a great opportunity to learn about what our kids do, and you will get in shape. I've been going with our celebrities, and I've been getting my butt kicked, just like the conditioning that they do is crazy. They had me jump roping, and I think the last time I jumped roped was like in the 3rd grade.
Double dutch?
And they were like, we're going to do 15 minutes. And I was like, how about 5? It's so much work. But it's amazing like how humbling the conditioning, but boxing is, you have to have so much stamina to be able to box and breathe with your punches and do all of these different things. And so it just requires so much consistency and hard work, which is pretty cool.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then we got all stuck on that, but we also have Camp Hope. We take kids to summer camp for a week. And that is really based around kids who've experienced abuse or domestic violence and talking through healthy relationships and what that looks like, but in a very specific setting where they get to do challenge by choice. So we do whitewater rafting, we do a ropes course, there's high adventure activities where they get to challenge and make decisions. And for some of our kids, it's the first time they've gotten to make choices for themselves. And so it's a really cool opportunity for them to kind of figure out who they are and talk through who they want to be. And so we do that every summer. And then we have Catalyst on school campuses, which is just so cool. And so we continue to be on school campuses across Shasta County, which is great because it removes barriers. Kids don't have to be transported. We're there during lunch so they can get connected to a healthy, safe adult without the barriers of just normal life things coming up. And our mentors bring games and crafts and hang out with them and have a great time. So
that's amazing.
Cool.
Wow. That's a lot of programs.
Yes.
That's a lot of activity. How do you pay for it all?
Oh my gosh. I like to say creativity and hopes and dreams, but we have some contracts with our county. We have some grant funding that comes in. We have some very generous donors, and then we have fundraisers that we do. So lots of little fundraisers, but then a couple of really big ones. We have our Roaring Rumble, which is our big one in April, where celebrities literally get in the ring for us, which is so cool. And then we have a golf tournament that Chronic Disaster puts on for us every year in September, and their team does such a good job and takes such good care of us. And so those fundraisers are, big and crucial to our youth services programs.
That's awesome. So let's talk about the Roaring Rumble a little bit. Full disclosure, we are recording this before Roaring Rumble 2026. Yes. It will come out after Roaring Rumble, so we don't know who's going to win yet.
The spoilers.
So we can, we don't have any. We don't know anything.
Yeah.
But it started last year. So last year you had it.
Yeah.
How did you guys come up with this idea? Because PAL was already going for several years before you started Roaring Rumble.
Yeah.
So there's some natural synergies, I suppose. Yeah. But how did you guys come up with Roaring Rumble?
Well, we had a fundraiser called our Monte Carlo event, and it kind of slowly lost some steam. It was a gala. It was really fun, but there's a lot of galas in town, and there's a lot of the same thing happening, And so we were kind of like, do we continue to put this on? Do we try something different? We do get a lot of crap about having a boxing program. Like, I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
And
because you're Child Abuse Prevention Council, and you're going to teach kids about fighting each other. Right.
But the thing is, most of these kids that we have in our programs were already hurting and were already struggling with these big feelings. They were potentially fighting. They were fighting on the streets. Like, we had quite a few kids who would refuse to come in.
The discipline's very different.
They would refuse to come into the teen center, but they would stand in the parking lot and organize fights with each other. Mm-hmm. And so then they're not our kiddos because they're refusing to come into the teen center. But they're fighting in our parking lot. And we're like, this is crazy. We don't want this for them. And so now we have a coach who goes out there and is like, absolutely not. You're going to get hurt. Here are all the things that you could do to do better. And he pulls them in, and it's amazing. He has so many requirements before they ever get to spar or even do mitts. Like, they have to learn so many steps to keep themselves safe. And he talks all the time about the safety of it. Like, he's our biggest safety advocate all the time. And so it's been a cool transition. We don't have kids standing outside the teen center fighting anymore. We don't have the same situations happening because these kids are now engaged in healthy, safe ways to do this. We don't have kids leaving PAL, going out and getting in fights. We don't have these things happening because they're learning like the seriousness of it and how, to
and self-control.
Yeah, like the self-control of, instead of just being like, you pissed me off, I'm gonna go punch you in the face. They're like, that would actually mean missing out on PAL, and I don't want to miss that. That would mean this. And they can start to think through the consequences. And so there's so many pieces that opens conversation. Our celebrities come, we background check them, so they come and work out with our kids. And every single time we get our celebrities, they're like, okay, I'll come work out the teens, but like, I'm pretty in shape. And I'm like, just wait. And then they come and they get out hustled by these kids within 5 minutes, and they're like winded, and they're like, okay, so this is hard work. And so it's a really cool opportunity for celebrities to get to know our programs, to be in our actual teen center and see what we provide, and like get to actually experience it instead of just hearing about it. And so that's been a really cool piece of it. And then just they become kind of advocates for us out in the community. They're sharing about what they learned. They're talking about the things. They're, doing all this stuff. And so that has been really cool. And so it's been a really great opportunity to have conversations, first of all. Second of all, it's different, and people are having such a fun time. Like, we had so many people you wouldn't normally see at a gala. Like, we had a lot more of our community that doesn't often go to some of the fancier galas and different things, who were there supporting kids. They were giving so generously, and they were so excited to be there. And so it was a cool shift in who comes and who supports things. And it was just really fun.
That's awesome.
Just really different than, other things. And so we've had a good time with it. We've continued to use it as a platform to have conversations. And it raised a lot of money last year. So that was really cool.
Hey, best part of that's great.
Right?
Yeah. Money makes the world go round. So, and this year in 2026, you guys are doing sanctioned boxing.
Yeah.
I guess, why did you guys decide you needed to? And I don't know if this is an interesting topic. We didn't talk about this beforehand. Why are they sanctioned fights this year?
Yeah, so we work really closely with USA Boxing because we are a PAL affiliate. So we work with PAL, and we have insurance, and we have some stuff through them. But because our kids do go on to sometimes do bouts with other gyms, they become USA sanctioned as well. And so we were trying to figure out the crossover for it. We had a couple of kids who we wanted to be able to showcase who are sanctioned USA fighting members. And so there was some crossover. They wouldn't have been able to come and do a fully exhibitionary type of thing. Our coaches are both USA Boxing coaches. And so there was they weren't allowed to coach last year. They could coach outside, but on the night of, they weren't allowed to be running the corners because of all the logistics.
Even
and
for
so
the celebrities.
Yeah, and so there was just a lot of pieces that to us it felt important to honor USA Boxing and make sure that we did it well. USA Boxing is going above and beyond to support us and help us navigate it, because this is new for them as well as us. So we've had a lot of conversation over the last year of what it looks like, what things we need to follow. They are giving us a little bit of grace because everyone is an amateur. And, everyone is brand new, and so they're giving us some grace on
weight classes and everything.
Yeah. Honestly, that was part of the conversation too, because last year we had a couple of real different height things, and we had some age differences, and for the most part it worked out, but we realized that might not always be the case. And so now we're trying to stay a little bit closer to that for safety, but also just to make it fair and fun, so it doesn't feel like it's going to be really obviously one way or the other. But I will say people held their own last year. So
that's so cool.
Made it work.
Well, we're going to get back into raising Shasta, but I had this idea last year after hearing about your idea.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, one of my favorite events in Reading is the Reading Rodeo.
Yeah.
So what if, in my 6-year-old Tanner, who is Tanner the Terror, whom if people follow my wife on Instagram, they know how crazy he is. He gets to do mutton busting.
Oh, yeah.
And so he did mutton busting last year as a 5-year-old. He's not small, but he was on the smaller side. And mutton busting goes 5 to 7, under 60 pounds.
Yeah.
So the kid that won on Saturday night when Tanner did it was almost 8, like right at the threshold, and Tanner was like, I got gypped. Like, I should have won. So we're going to sign back up.
Okay.
And hopefully we're going to be mutton busting in the rodeo again this year because Tanner was super excited about it. So I was like, what if we had adult mutton busting, but sheep are too small?
Yeah.
So what if we did like a celebrity small steer bull riding? Like I'm talking like a smallish steer.
Anything's possible.
Like you could get hurt for sure.
I mean,
but like we're talking not like those bulls are big. Like the bull riders are crazy. But like what about like a small bull? Like a small bull.
Maybe.
And then like you could fundraise and like whoever rides the bull the longest, you know, they're the winners.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Well, Barron's on our board and he's on the Ready Rodeo board. You got to pitch it to Barron.
So Barron, if you're listening, I want to do a celebrity steer riding. I mean, I think I would. I think I would actually do the steer wrestling where you jump off the horse and like grab them. Bull riding, I'm not as interested in. That's like incredibly violent.
Yeah.
But I think there's like some middle ground.
There's some middle ground.
Or like a small horse, like a bucking bronco.
Yeah, maybe.
So just throwing it out there. I think there's an opportunity here.
Yeah.
Add it to the Tuesday night before rodeo.
Yeah.
You already got all the stock there. I think this could be awesome.
I think it's going to be great.
I think it could be great.
I'll let you
maybe
handle
next year,
the logistics
maybe
of that
next year,
one.
2027,
And the liability of that one.
Steer celebrity bull
There
riding.
you go. Okay. And then they just practice for a long time. I will say, like, our celebrities put in a ton of time beforehand so that they're not, like, they feel prepared. Because we don't want them to show up and be like,
really
oh my
hurt.
gosh.
Bull riding.
Yeah. You could get really hurt.
Boxing.
Yeah.
Really?
Obviously, you could.
Yeah.
And so our boxing coaches are so big on, like, you got to put in a certain amount of time. We got to feel comfortable with you doing this. And so our celebrities are set up for success. Some of them take it more seriously than others, obviously. But they definitely get a ton of time with our coaches. So you got to find a bull riding coach that'll teach them.
I think I can do this. We're in the North State. We got bull riders around here for sure. So, I mean, Lane.
Honestly, yeah.
Could be kind of fun.
Yeah.
Just saying.
There you go.
All right. Back to Raising Shasta. Why we're here. Let's talk a little bit about kind of some of the not so fun topics that we talk about in Shasta County, because we have a lot of not so fun things that we talk about.
Yeah.
And one of those that I don't think I've really unpacked on a podcast yet is ACEs, which is adverse childhood experiences. And there's this whole rating system. You're much more well-versed than I am about that. But tell us about ACEs and kind of how Raising Shasta helps, you know, if you have an ACE, you have an ACE. Like you can't subtract the number. You can't make your number go down. Yeah. So how do you guys help in that world? Because we have a really high propensity of people with high ACE scores in Shasta County, which is not a good thing.
Yeah, I think we talk about it a lot, and we don't always talk about like what can happen and what the hope is. But ACEs are, you know, unfortunately really prevalent here in Shasta County. In 2012, when they did like a phone survey of our residents, we found that we were more than double the state average on almost every single area of ACEs, which, you know, include things like a family member with mental illness, divorce and incarceration, family substance use, sexual abuse, domestic violence. Like these are really, really heavy topics. And, you know, the original study was done in 1990. And the thought process was you would see high levels of trauma in certain socioeconomic classes. But the original study was done in a really affluent area. Right. So people were shocked. They were like, this isn't what we expected. And the reality is like, trauma doesn't really have a social class. There are things that just kind of naturally do fall more heavily when you don't have resources and you don't have the ways to get out of them. But ultimately, like sexual abuse, these things can happen. Domestic violence, these things happen in every social class and every, you know, economic class. And so the reality is like everyone can suffer from this. Shasta County has, on average, like 40% of our residents have 4 or more ACEs, which is just wild. Yeah. We were double the state average in almost every area. Like,
it's not a good thing.
We have not good things. It was almost 3 times in a family member with mental illness. Like we struggle in some very significant ways here in town. And, you know, a lot of that, again, becomes generational because we unfortunately follow the, you know, the path we see, the story we lived, we often will go on and live it ourselves. And so, you know, we see it pretty heavily here in Shasta County. And, you know, 2012 was a long time ago. I would guess those numbers are higher now, unfortunately.
COVID, car fire.
Yeah.
I mean, this is some pretty heavy stuff.
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I think like we talk about ACEs. ACEs is such a great tool to have a conversation. But the reality is like trauma isn't just those things, right? Trauma is, and everyone experiences traumas differently. Like two people can be in the same car accident and experience it totally differently and carry it with them totally differently.
Yeah.
And there's, you have levels of tolerance of trauma, which are usually really specifically tied to your resiliency. And resiliency is really specifically tied to positive experiences, to people and social connections and things that are in place in your life that will help you build resiliency and feel connected and supported and safe. And so, for us, we talk about mentorship because one healthy adult can literally change the trajectory of a kid's life.
Sure.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's
incredible.
Such a cool thing. And that can be something like a mentor. That can be a foster parent. That can be your parent choosing to do better and changing the direction they're heading and becoming the parent they were always like needed to be. And so, we talk so much about one healthy adult, but also it's just about like social connections. It's the network of people you have who show up for you. It's the neighbor who makes sure that you always get home. It's the mom that picks you up and takes you to sports because maybe your mom can't. And there's all these things. And I think sometimes we think it has to be formal mentorship, but there's so many people in the world that show up for kids and those people can shift your narrative, and they can be the one that makes sure that your life turns out different than someone else. And so right now, like a lot of the conversation is around positive experiences. We talk about positive childhood experiences because it's definitely better when you're little. It'll help fix it and support you early on. And there's, a lot more to be said about how that goes. But even as an adult, if you are putting yourself in the right settings and getting the right support around you, you can mitigate your ACEs and build resiliency even as an adult if you're putting the right things in place and getting the right support systems and mentorship in your corner.
Yeah.
And so like that, there is so much hope. And I think we get so stuck on the ACEs, which it is so crucial that we understand, like, we don't just have a substance use problem, we have a trauma problem.
Yeah.
We don't just have a mental illness, epidemic in our area where we're struggling and in crisis. We have generational trauma.
Yeah.
And those things lead to these other things. And so I think it's so important to talk about ACEs to bring awareness. But if you don't then follow it up with what people can do, it becomes really disheartening and like, our county is just on fire and there's nothing we can do. But it's going to be people like you and I. It's going to be our community members that show up and make the difference. Like there are hundreds of nonprofits. There are all these things that are happening, but we can't do it alone. It takes, it takes your neighbor.
Yeah.
It takes the bus driver. There's so many things that happen. And like when I look back at my life, I have no business being an executive director. I have no business being married for 17 years and being a mom to 4 kiddos. Like that's not what was modeled for me. And I shouldn't be here, but I can look back and there's key people who spend a ton of time with me. And then there's little moments where there's people who just invested little bits into me and believed in me that like, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm able to do these things. And I think we forget about those little moments. We forget about the people who show up in those, really hard days and support us well. And so, to me, like that's what Shasta County does so good. The car fire. If you think back to the car fire, what was so beautiful about Shasta County?
Yeah, I mean, we all got along for like a year.
Yeah,
it was great. Yeah,
people literally opened their home to strangers. Like people had people
so
they
generous
didn't even know on their couches.
So much funding coming in and people helping neighbors.
Yeah, it was crazy. And I think like we can be that in everyday things with kindness, but with understanding that like the next generation of Redding and of Shasta is our youth. And if we don't invest in them now, we are on a really scary trajectory where we can't get enough services to outpace the hard things that are happening. But if we start investing in kids early and making sure that they have healthy adults, making sure that we are making sure that cool things in our community are happening, that there's sports for them to be involved in and clubs for them to be involved in. If we're doing that work now, like that's the future. That's us shifting this huge generational conversation to like brighter, exciting things. And it starts with brighter, fancier things in downtown Redding. It starts with opportunities and different things, and it ends in ending generational issues and ending some of these generational cycles we've been in for a really long time.
Yeah. I mean, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, right? So, I mean, it's like wildfires, helping kids, systemic issues, all these root cause challenges, and figuring out like, let's solve these now so we don't have to have the, all these programs on the back end that are so, it's so, and you lose people. I mean, physically along the way.
Oh,
you lose
absolutely.
people along the way. And I had Jonathan Anderson on a few months ago, and I love Jonathan and the mission. I mean, they're serving a big, challenging community.
Yeah,
a very
absolutely.
big, challenging community. And, they talk about these programs just being an excuse for relationship. When I hear the same thing with you, where you have these programs which are really just an excuse for relationship with these kids.
Yeah.
And one person can change life. Even these people at the mission that a lot of people I think would write off typically, like that one relationship can make a huge difference in that person's life and get them back on, the right track. I mean, there's so many people I know in town, not so many, but there's a handful I know that have gone through the mission, and you look at them now and I'm like, it's unbelievable where they came from, where they're at now. It's crazy, but hopefully we don't have to get to that point, right? Helping their kids.
Exactly.
And then they don't have these huge challenges down the road.
Right.
It's incredible what you guys are doing.
Thank you. We're pretty proud of it. It's been a really cool opportunity to just really invest in families. I think that there's a lot of resources for certain, if you're a foster family, you get a lot of support. Adoptive families get a lot of support.
Foster program is tough.
Yeah. And but I remember
You guys have done it.
Yeah. We were foster parents for quite a few years and we got all kinds of support. Like I learned so much about trauma. I got so much behavioral support around my kiddos to make sure that they were successful. I was hungry for it because I was like, I see that my kiddo is hurting and I want to make sure that I'm helping them in the best way. But then I would see my friend who, their kiddo was maybe struggling with similar things in school and they didn't have access to the same resources that I did because I was doing foster care. And so I got to share what I learned and I got to do all those things, but I'm like, every family should have access. If they're interested in learning more, like every family should have access to, more and more access to support and education and just other peer support, like getting to know parents. We live in a very isolated social media world where we think that we're friends with people, but it's really because we just watch their life on a screen.
Yeah.
And so, we curate our lives. I make my life look really good on social media. I'm not going to put the bad stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I look like I'm showing up every single day for my kids' sports. And the reality is I'm a working mom and sometimes I'm not there.
Yeah.
And so, I have other friends who follow me and like, man, you're at everything. And I'm like,
You do it all.
I wish.
You're wonderful.
I know, I wish.
Yeah.
No. And I have a supportive husband who shows up like
Mike's
a
awesome.
rock star.
Mike's awesome. And he's got a great mustache right now.
He really does. Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
I know. He's a good guy.
Yeah, he's amazing.
But yeah, he shows up for our kids. Like he's in a season where he has a more flexible job and he can pick up kids and take them to all the sports and he's being super dad right now. And then I get to show up and look awesome when I make it. And it's like, that's such a cool season. We haven't always been in that season. There were seasons that I was home, but I think that we curate our world on social media and it makes other parents feel like, oh man, they can do it and I can't.
Right.
And so building communities of like reality check that it's hard, which I love about your wife because her social media is so real.
Unhinged.
And
Unhinged.
I love
That's
it
the best way to
so
put it.
much.
Yeah.
Because my kids are yelling in the car and telling me that like I did something the other day and I was like, what do you think? And they're like, that's real ugly. And I'm like, oh, thanks. My daughter said to me the other day, I wish your stomach was kind of thinner. And I was like, me too. Thanks, kiddo.
Wow.
Like, kids say mean things.
Yeah.
And like they hurt your feelings. And so like understanding that like that's pretty normal. Like that's just what kids do. They say what they're thinking. And sometimes what they're thinking is just mean.
Totally unfiltered. Our oldest 12, Hunter, called Erica racist on Sunday because we asked him to do the dishes. And he felt like that was a form of slavery.
Yeah, he did.
Therefore,
Yeah, he did.
mom's racist.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, I'm sure it opened a really cool conversation around
interesting.
racism. Right?
I was like, nope, that's not. Stop. We're this.
It's actually not the same thing, but super close.
Yeah. No. Let's unpack this a little bit.
Yeah. It's
kids are crazy.
Yeah. And I think like I have a really supportive husband. I have a, supportive community. And I still sometimes I'm like, not sure how to navigate that one.
Yeah.
Like it's just
we hide things well.
Yeah.
Or when we shouldn't just
and
get
it's
it out
like,
there.
I have some great friends who like we've given each other permission to be like, if you see me doing this crazy thing and like help me out and so it's it can be really humbling, but it's also really nice sometimes because you're like, I am lost. And they're like, oh, actually my kiddo did the same thing and here's some of the things that worked and here's some stuff that didn't.
Yeah.
So don't be trying that. And so like I think, especially I didn't grow up with social media. I mean, I had MySpace and I could like curate it and like,
top 8, top 9,
and
all
I
the
had, like, a
things.
song and
Yes.
all the things.
That's where we learned how to code. as kids.
I think I put
MySpace.
myself on like a site that was like rate me if I'm hot or not. Like
yeah.
those things, like it was so
Oh,
great.
yeah.
It was
Hot
such
or
a
not.
different social media world. And now like our kids can get drugs on their social media, on their Snapchat.
crazy.
Our kids, are getting catfished and
living
then
in the
AI
metaverse.
is changing the photo. And so, no one is an expert in that. Well, there are people that are experts, but your average everyday
right.
parent, not an expert. And so like being able to connect with resources, SCOE and school districts are doing a good job of providing those, tools. And we try to do it on our end as well. And I think, getting parents to buy in and understand that it's not the same as when they were a kid and everyone needs help.
Right.
All of us need
Yeah.
help. And so, getting all the tools and being ready to support your kiddo when they need help, because it's not if.
It's
when.
gonna all the time.
Yeah.
They need help all the time.
Right?
All right, so I did not prep you for this either, but what's next for Raising Shasta?
Man.
It's been a busy last few years.
Yeah. We've been hustling, man, for 2 years. And I think, some of that is just nonprofit life. When you're a nonprofit, like the footing changes every day. But I think for us, like we really, we talk about relationships always. We're talking about showing up for each other. And I think that that's what the future of our community is it's getting back to that small town feel. And I think that's something like the chamber is doing really well too, is like bringing back community and in-person gatherings and, really building networks of people you can rely on and support and, showing up for each other equally. And so we've been really looking at this idea of combining our parent services and youth services into the same building and working towards a community center where people can show up and their whole family can show up together, not just teens and not just parents, but like, what does it look like to have spaces where the whole family shows up, where we're inviting the community into our space. And so, that's kind of our next goal, is really looking at how do we create the spaces that just naturally invite people in and let them build community within that space. And maybe get people who wouldn't always come through the door to something that feels, like, oh, I don't need parenting advice. But if we have a community kitchen and we're teaching cooking classes and we have sports, for kids that are right within the walls of this space, like it opens doors to more people getting access to connection and support, education around parenting, normalizing the fact that it's just really hard.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to be a parent. It's hard to be a teen now. The things that these kids are navigating is just so much different than what we were navigating. With social media, with just like the drugs that are just different and so scary. Like there's just so much a different shift, and it's a scary, heavy shift. There's not a lot of opportunity to experiment and make mistakes because it goes viral on the internet and it lives forever because somebody saved it to their computer. And so helping kids like learn that it's pretty normal that people make mistakes, building them communities and reminding them that they're more than what their social media is. They're more than those things, and teaching our families the same thing. And so really leaning into community and helping people build that village and reminding them how important that is. And so that's kind of our next few years, is really just leaning into that. We have some cool programming ideas. If anyone wants to give me a building, community center, right? I'm like, gosh, there's so many opportunities. We have long-term dreams of being able to do some career development for youth. So they work at the teen center and then they get to work at the community center and learn skills, build their resume with healthy, safe, supportive adults who understand that this might be their first job and try to navigate that.
Right.
So we have some really cool ideas around that, but all of it's going to come back to community and development in that. And I think it's going to be really exciting.
That's awesome. Where do you see Shasta County in 10 years?
And maybe believing the best in each other.
Yes.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Let's not go first for, I'm sure you hate me, or I'm sure you're doing the wrong thing. Like, I want to believe the best in you first and have conversations and hope that you can grow and rise to the occasion.
Yeah. There's a lot of cycles that need to be broken in this town. A lot. That'd be good. That'd be a good start. We need to love ourselves a little bit more too.
10 years feels like enough time, right? Like that's, if you'd said 2 years, I don't know, we'd be there. We'd be starting it. But 10 years from now,
2036.
that would be my dream.
I think my youngest kid will graduate high school then. So
see, and then they'll be adults, and you'll have helped me. We'll be shoulder to shoulder running this out.
Yeah.
And then our kids, they'll never know a world that it wasn't like that.
And
right?
they'll want to come back to Shasta County.
Yeah, and they'll be raising their
stay
kids in this beautiful community that cares for each other and shows up for each other and believes the best for each other.
Yeah.
And then we're not sending people away and never seeing them again. I put a pool in. My grandbabies are coming to that pool.
Heck yeah.
Right? Like I've invested in the long-term future.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, we're kind of all we have. Like I go to all these government conferences and conventions and meetings. And it's like, no one's going to come bail us out. We are it in Shasta County. We're on an island, which is great a lot of times, but it's also bad sometimes. And so if we want to figure it out, we have to do it ourselves.
That's so funny. My husband literally has that on a Post-it note on our wall. No one is coming to save you.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do to show up? Like, make the change. Do the thing that you need to do to like show up for yourself, show up for kids, show up for your community. Because if they have to swoop in from the outside, it's not going to be your community anymore, right? And it's not going to be truly a shift because it won't have come from the people who lived here and care deeply about it and know the history of the Reading Rodeo, know the history of
why
Shasta
County or whatever.
Like there's so much history here. Like they built a dam all those years ago. Like Turtle Bay is based on all these things. Like there is so much history here, good and bad.
Right.
But like, we're the ones that have to curate that and remember that and build it into what we want it to be, you know? And I think there's so much beauty here. And like, I'm not from here, but we chose here and we're here for the long haul. And it's because of the people and the community. And those are the same people who still live here. And those are the same people who are incrementally making change and believing in each other and showing up for each other and celebrating the wins. And I think it's gonna snowball and it's gonna get bigger and it's gonna be, you know, people walking shoulder to shoulder just can like, maybe I'm like aggressively positive. I'm like, I refuse to believe it has to be different. I want my children to love it here. I want my children to feel safe here. I want my children to remember, even if they leave, that they remember this place as their home and that it's, you know, a caring community that has all this rich history and cool traditions and that, you know, that takes people showing up. So.
Showing up. You guys are showing up in a big way. So thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being here. Yeah. This has been a super fun conversation.
Thank you. That's fun.
The City Builders podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the chamber, and we could not do business without them.